I use reverse psychology on my coaching clients sometimes, and this is how I do it. Why would you bother? It's actually quite useful. There's two major use cases. One is if your client is being uber negative about something, and obviously it's disempowering them, then taking the opposite position obviously is going to be empowering for them. The other side, though, is sometimes a client is overly positive about something that actually gets in their way, like an addiction or a habit, and actually creates resistance to what they want or gets in the way of and detracts from the very goals that they're attempting to achieve. So reverse psychology is very useful when your client needs to make a reversal. They call it a reversal, simply going from one direction, doing a 180, massively changing that direction, the perspective, the mindset, etc. This is a big part of what your coaching clients are paying you for. Next, reverse psychology is fairly easy. Really, all I will do with a client is take the opposite position from where they're standing. Now, there's lots of stylistic nuance to this. I could attack the client and their position. I could confuse the position, use maybe a more Socratic approach and use questions, as many coaches will. I could use a more pragmatic line of questioning, asking them if that position is actually useful to them, a utilitarian approach. Lots of different strategies, all of which we don't have time to go over right now in this video, but let me give you one example from a session that I ran this week. This approach to reverse psychology is when I might use my own coaching client's language against them. Not really against them, against their position, their negative or positive position that they're taking, so that they can really see the other side of it. Byron Katie, famous guru, uses an aspect of her kind of blueprinted technique called the turnaround, where she asks her client to take the opposing view, the opposite position, or look at the converse or the reverse of whatever it is that they're starting with. Because any mindset can be limiting at some point, and so looking at the other side, very, very helpful. And so many people, 90% of your coaching clients, probably don't naturally do that. So you can facilitate that, just like in her turnaround process, and I'll link that up in the corner in a tag if you want to check that out. But getting back to the technique around using my own client's language against them, sometimes the language and the words that your client uses has extra emotional intensity or has great import or great relevance to their current mindset, their current stance, and their current limitation. So if I can get a sense of what word they're using that is somehow limiting them or hurting them, or they've packed up all their story and their limitation inside of that word, I can actually key in on that word and then revise how we look at that word. So I'll give an example from a coaching session this week. A client of mine came to me and said, I have this confidence problem. I have a lack of confidence. I'm so unconfident that I'm indecisive and, I get scared and I don't make a decision and then I don't take action and now I don't have results in my life. And, my life is just like nowhere near where I want it to be because of this lack of confidence thing. So can you help me out, Mr. Coach? If you didn't notice, that word confidence for this particular client was very, very heavy. Everything that was going wrong in a big part of his life was because of this confidence thing. Just one word made such a difference to get in the way of what he wanted in his life. Having heard that, I took the opposite perspective that he was taking to initiate a reversal, but using that word specifically. And I said to him, hey, how sure are you that you're indecisive? How sure are you that this has gotten in the way of your life? How sure are you that you have a lack of confidence? And I asked him that again and again. I was kind of setting him up a little bit. I was going somewhere with this. And he said, I'm pretty sure I've seen it again and again and again. I have all these regrets. And he went on and on about it. You could hear him on the roll. And then I said to him, I think you have the opposite problem. I don't think you have a lack of confidence. I actually think you're very confident. What you're confident about, we could talk about that. But you're actually quite confident. You're supremely confident that you're indecisive. You're very confident that this has gotten in the way of your life. You're very confident that you don't take action on certain things and it's held you back. You're very confident that you're incapable. He was going on and on about how incapable he was and how he doesn't have the skills and abilities and all this stuff, right? I said, you're very confident about those things, are you not? Of course, he said yes, because how can you argue? But I used that word confidence because that was the hypnosis that he was in with that specific word. So I finished my pitch to him by saying, you're not only confident, you're maybe a little too confident about those things. Your problem isn't not enough confidence. Your problem is too much. And that completed that antagonistic devil's advocate approach, taking the opposing view to my client, taking on that role, but again, using his hot button word as the basis for the reversal. Now, some clients will disagree with you on this and they'll fight you on it, but this client, very agreeable client, shaked his head yes and said, yeah, I think you're right. I'm really confident about those things. Suddenly, this word confident isn't so negative for him. And you might say, well, this is just a word game, Jeffrey. You're just playing with words. But for that client, that word had, like I said, tremendous relevance, depth, emotional importance. And now instead of feeling ill about lack of confidence, he's actually feeling kind of lousy about having too much confidence about something. And so then I said to him, maybe it's not a question of whether or not you can be confident. Maybe it's a question of what you choose to be confident about. Because if you place that same hardcore confidence, the assuredness that you have so deeply and so intensely about positive things about yourself, about what's possible in life, about what you can do, about your decisions, etc., you invest your confidence into those things, you're gonna have a whole different life. And you could hear the gears turning in his head and how it made sense to him, at least logically, which paved a path for us to proceed on strategies to create confidence and decisiveness and to take actions that he wasn't taking. But the mindset shift was key, and that was an easy example of reverse psychology in action in a coaching session. The keys to this? Number one, it's very useful to create these reversals for many clients in many situations. Number two, it's actually really easy to do. Just take the opposing viewpoint, negative to positive or positive to negative. And number three, there's a whole myriad and variety of techniques that we didn't have time for, but one is key in on hot button words and then create a reversal revolving around the logic of that word if it has emotional mindset or great relevance to the situation, to your client, to the relationship, to whatever is going on in their goals. How do you use reverse psychology in your practice with your clients? Do you ever see usefulness for it or places where you'd like to use it where you haven't yet? So reverse psychology is only one of many techniques and approaches that I will take to create a reversal or a transformation for one of my coaching clients. If you want to know the overview of how I've transformed thousands of clients one-on-one over the past 2 decades, then watch this next video here. And please like the video if this made a difference or dislike it if you disagree and you think it was lousy. And if you want to see more of this, go ahead and subscribe and I'll talk to you next time.